What's up, everyone? I wanted to do this video today, September 10th, 2024, because today kind of has a special meaning for me that hits close to home. In case you don't know, today is National Suicide Prevention / Awareness Day. And for many of us, suicide is a real kind of problem, I guess you'd say. Depression is a huge problem in our society, and many of us deal with depression. Now, before I go forward, disclaimer here. My talk here is going to discuss some issues of self-harm or attempted self-harm, and don't really mean to bring anyone down, but it's necessary to get my story across. Again, if you're bothered by that kind of thing, please stop now, click away now. I won't be offended, I understand. Anyway, let's jump back a long time to my childhood years. I dealt with depression a lot as a child, and I'm not wanting attention. I'm not wanting sympathy. I'm not wanting sorrow. No, it's not nothing like that. I'll just want to raise awareness, of the struggle that many of us live every day with, dealing with depression and suicidal thoughts. And anyway, going back to my childhood, I had a rather complicated childhood. I am legally blind. I've dealt with it all my life. And this made a lot of aspects of life very challenging as a child and as an adult. But anyway, to compound this, I had a lot of issues with my local school system. I had a lot of issues with teachers that were kind of ignorant regarding things, and just a lot of issues in general. I won't get into everything here. I don't want to make this video an hour long. But anyway, long story short, in school, pretty much, well, in elementary school, things were pretty good. I had some struggles, but I was forced to sit in a kind of pointless, underfunded, so-called Braille class for hours on end, many days, and missed out on a lot. But then there were times when some teachers had the backbone to kind of stand up to things and, say, hey, Lenard needs to be in regular class. So at least temporarily I would be, put back in regular class. I would get my grades up, things would get better, and the cycle would repeat. But it wasn't too bad in elementary school. Fast forward to the middle school years, things got really bad. Basically, in the 6th grade, I went to middle school, and at first I thought things were going to be okay. I had a few issues, but was managing to get most of them worked out. They were letting me participate in regular classes, was doing okay, and then it started. We kind of had this principal for our middle school who, for the sake of not being mean, I'm just going to say he was not a very good principal. And he, kind of didn't maintain things as a principal should with the school. I guess a principal, at least in my mind, is supposed to be kind of like the manager, and he didn't do a very good job of it. Well, needless to say, 6th grade went on, things were okay, started to have problems. 7th grade comes up, we kind of started to have a little bit of a staff shakeup at our school. A few new staff members and all, and um, well, my seventh grade teachers were not the best, and rather than trying to work with me for the very minor, very minimal accommodations that I needed to be able to participate in class with others, my seventh grade teacher, homeroom teacher particularly, decided she was just going to, when she didn't want to deal with me, send me to ISS, in school suspension. Well, we had a total butthead for an ISS director. Yes, I got sent to ISS for being legally blind. Well, our total butthead of an ISS director, rather than, because I don't know how many people were ever in ISS in school, but the whole idea behind ISS is that you're still, you're in trouble, but you're still in school and you're supposed to do your work. I had no problem with that. That's what school's about. However, I was allowed no accommodations for my visual impairment. I was, everything. I was put into a little plywood cubicle where I was surrounded on three sides at least by a sheet of plywood, basically, framed up at the top with some 2x2s, and this was where I was forced to spend many days through my 7th and 8th grade years. I say years because of the fact I was given no accommodation. I used the machine for reading that was called a CCTV magnifier. Basically, this was back then a fairly large device that you put books or worksheets under or whatever, and it magnified it quite large to the point that I could read it. Well, they wouldn't let me use a CCTV. They wouldn't let me use large print materials. They wouldn't let me use any special accommodation in the ISS. So, as you can guess, I got way behind in my schoolwork. Was not able to complete schoolwork because of this. So then, said pain in the butt ISS director started to suspend me, because apparently there was this rule in the book that if you were in ISS consecutively for so many days and didn't follow the rules, one of the rules posted was that you had to do your work, but I couldn't do my work because I had no accommodations, that you were automatically suspended. So they started suspending me. Well, out of school suspension. Basically being told stay home. So obviously I was missing out. Then they were giving me none of my work at home. I was not allowed any, it went totally downhill. Well, fast forward, basically I ended up going to court. I was put in ISS enough that they started suspending me, and I was eventually, if you're suspended for a long enough period of time and miss enough days of school, even for out of school suspension, you are taken to court as a truant student, a truant child. Well, me and my family, my mom, basically my only real parent, were taken to court. Luckily, I got a judge that understood things. He basically heard me out. He questioned me, and he pretty much came back on the school and pretty much said, "How dare you? This is not his fault. This is not his mom's fault. How dare you? Case closed." Anyway, by this time, I was so frustrated. I had missed out on so much school. I wasn't learning things that I needed to be learning. Was way behind. I got really frustrated and quit. I was 16 by this time, and back then you could pretty much quit at 16 and there was really nothing said or done about it. So, at least in North Carolina. So I dropped out officially, and I shouldn't have. But fast forward a couple years, I went back. I got my GED. So I technically did finish school. Um, and I attempted to start community college. I was so far behind, however, that I was put into a lot of remedial classes in college, and it would have taken me a very long time to have caught up, combined with the fact that my college claimed they were going to do all kinds of things to accommodate me. Really, the only accommodation again that I needed was a CCTV, but when it came down to it, they were doing very little to accommodate me in classes, and it was not working. So I got frustrated and quit with that. And fast forward a short time later, I managed to get a job with a big box retailer. I won't name it here, but there's one in every town. Most towns have multiples. Our town does, at least. Very large big box retailer. Yeah, I got a job with them. I was happy. I was an associate in the lawn and garden department. Not a classy job, not a dream job by any means, but it was a job. I was making money. Said retailer was working with me. Said they were willing to work with me and help me out with the very minimal accommodations again that I needed to get the job done. And I was complimented because they said I was doing a good job. I put the customer first. That's something that doesn't often happen these days. And anyway, everything went good until we had a boss, a manager in the department I was in, who decided he didn't like the way I was doing things. I made one mistake on one day, and he basically fired me. Well, I went back to the human resources director. I talked to her, same human resources manager that had hired me. I should say personnel manager. And the story was totally different at this time. She basically told me that, let's call him Mr. T, had told her that I was not doing my job, and they had no place at said retailer for anyone not doing their job, not being a part of the team. Keep in mind I was working my butt off, but anyway, I was fired from said job. This was another kind of big, I guess you could say, disappointment. But anyway, I managed to get another job after getting into a state program in Raleigh, and this job was not very reliable at all. Basically, it was with an agency that was kind of in and out. Things were very bad for this agency, and they were on the verge of kind of collapsing at this point. And so the work was kind of hit and miss. They would call me to go to work. I would move to Raleigh. I was staying at the Y at the time. This particular Y had back then. We're talking the late '90s, early 2000s. Had rooms that you could rent by the night, by the week. So I was staying there. I was happy though. Things were going good. Things were okay. But said program basically totally ended up collapsing. That all went away, and I was left again with nothing. Well, our Department of Social Services / Services for the Blind counselor basically got me in with a job coaching program that was supposed to help me get a job. My experience was that they really didn't help. I mean, the few opportunities they kind of helped me get in on was stuff that they knew I wasn't qualified for and that would not work out, and there was no way to. Anyway, they got me, the first interview they got me was with an investment firm. Again, I won't say the specific business name, but they got me an interview with a certain very large investment firm that has an office here in town. And I was obviously not qualified. I knew nothing about investing. At this time, I was like a 19-year-old kid. I knew nothing about. No, I'm sorry. I'm telling you wrong. I was in my 20s by this point. It's been a long time, folks. I'm sorry. I was in my 20s by this point. I knew nothing about investing, so I obviously didn't get the job. They got me another interview with a now defunct office products retail chain that kind of ended up merging with another large office retail chain. Anyway, I thought this was going to go good. The manager liked what I had to say. I knew my stuff about computers and technology, so he said I would be a real asset to the company. However, when the assistant store manager come in on things for my supposed to be first official day of orientation, he did not want to work with me or talk to me about things at all. And he basically took me around the store showing me why with a vision impairment I could not do the job. This knocked me down yet again, totally discouraged me. I tried again at different businesses and different opportunities. Nothing ever worked out long time. And I really became seriously depressed. Just everything kind of compounded together, and around my, I'd say 22nd, 23rd year of life, I got severely depressed, and I ended up attempting suicide. Now, this is what I was giving the trigger warning about. I won't go into specifics, and I don't even know the specific numbers of things, but best guesstimates, they ended up saying that or putting together that I took roughly more than 600 pills, various pills, a combination, all kinds of pills, whatever I could find, painkillers, vitamins, whatever, and it almost did the job. And about a day later, I don't remember anything after taking the pills until about a day later. I woke up in my local hospital's ICU, and the first thing I can remember was my doctor sitting beside my bed. He was checking my vitals and everything, and he basically told my mom that we don't know if his liver is damaged. He may have to have a liver transplant. This was a very scary, very sobering awakening. I honestly, when I took the pills originally, I wanted to end it, but I did not want to end up, messed up or on some transplant list waiting for a liver transplant, or having to take some serious medication for liver damage the rest of my life. Fortunately, when the blood work and blood tests came back, they found out that there was no permanent liver damage. I had some temporary liver damage. I went through some uncomfortable times, I'm not going to lie. Things were not all roses. I spent about a week in the hospital being closely monitored, because when you take that much medication, it doesn't just immediately get out of your system. I don't know how much any of you guys know about overdoses and stuff, but basically when you overdose, what happens, as soon as you're taken into the ER and it's found out what happened, they usually will administer what is known as charcoal, and it basically is charcoal. um, into your system, these little tubes of stuff, and it forces you to vomit said contents of your stomach out. And yeah, this is why I said trigger warning. But anyway, I got most of it out of my system, but you don't immediately get rid of that much stuff. I know I had taken bottles of over-the-counter pain relievers and things, and so you don't get over that kind of stuff immediately. So the next week was spent in the hospital, kind of recuperating. They were making sure I was okay, no permanent damage. Dealing with some lingering stomach issues, obviously. And anyway, fast forward, once I was discharged, I ended up being committed to a psychiatric hospital here in town. That was one of the most pointless experiences in my life. But anyway, I got through that. I ended up going in said psychiatric facility a couple more times and a couple other facilities over the next couple years, and it was all a mess. But anyway, fast forward to today, I'm a lot better. I've learned ways to kind of shrug it off, deal with things. Not to quote an old Disney song, but kind of let it go. And I'm doing a lot better. But I know firsthand, I'm not going to say I know everyone's circumstance. I don't. We all have different circumstances. We all face different struggles. We all face different issues. But I know what it is to deal with depression. I know how low it can make you feel, how worthless, how hopeless it can make you feel. But I'm just here to tell you, you're not alone. You're not alone. There is help out there. Talk to someone. Seek help. Don't listen to the negative people. Look for positive people. There is help. If all else fails, contact the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. I'm not in any way affiliated with them, but it is a great organization. I 100% support them. You can contact them by text or by call at 988. Please, please, please use these resources, folks, before it goes to the point I got to. You do not, it is not a pleasant experience waking up, coming out of a drug-induced coma, I guess you could say almost, only to hear that you may be damaged for the rest of your life. And you're worth it. You are a great person. You are a good person. I promise you. People out there care. You are needed. You are the reason this world is as wonderful as it is. Please don't listen to the haters. Please seek help. Please, I beg you. Again, this has been my story. Sorry for a bit of a long video, but I wanted to kind of get everything out there, let you know some backstory and what was going on. I wish everyone the best. Take care of yourself. Treat yourself the way you deserve to be treated. Put yourself first. Seek help. Get help. Thank you for your time. Peace, everyone.